Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan is a truly captivating book that will stay with you for a long time even after you finish reading it. Which, to be honest, won't take too long, as its length is around 110 pages, but do not underestimate this book. It is truly small but mighty. In this book, Claire Keegan touches on the topic of the Magdalen laundries, which were active in Ireland in the 90s. They were institutes run by the church which exploited pregnant women that got pregnant without being engaged or married, thus labeling them as sinners and taking them into custody. The book itself does not dive too deep on this topic, and I won't either, as it's not really a pleasant one. But if you are really interested in the topic of the Magdalen laundries, I highly suggest watching the video from the New York Times, which I will link down in the description below. The plot of the book is set in a small Irish town where we follow our main protagonist, Bill Furlong, as he goes on with his daily life until he encounters one of these Magdalen laundries. I don't want to say more, as I don't want to give away too much about the plot itself, even though I feel like the plot itself is mainly used as a vehicle for the interesting thoughts and observations that the author has. For example, some of them would be growing up without a father and how it impacts one even after they have their own family. Seeing as our main protagonist has a family of 5 daughters and a wife, he still reminisces about his childhood without a father and how it impacted him. Now, this theme hit me really hard, as I was also growing up without a father, and I could relate to a lot of the feelings and observations that the main protagonist had. The author also touches on the topic of how fast-paced capitalism and our modern-day lives are currently, seeing as people don't even take time to reminisce and reflect about their pasts. This sequence in the book sums it up perfectly, as I will read it to you now. Always it was the same, Furlong thought. Always they carried mechanically on without pause, to the next job at hand. What would life be like, he wondered, if they were given time to think and reflect over things? I feel like this is a beautiful observation, and it ranks very true to our modern daily lives. As the attention span of people is growing smaller by the day, I feel like it is harder and harder to stop and smell the proverbial roses. The author also touches on the topic of how unbalanced and work-heavy life we lead in the modern day. There is also a great sequence in the book that sums it up perfectly. I will read it to you now. What was it all for? Furlong wondered. The work and the constant worry. Getting up in the dark and going to the yard, making the deliveries one after another, the whole day long, then coming home in the dark and trying to wash the black off himself and sitting into a dinner table and falling asleep before waking in the dark to meet a version of the same thing yet again. Might things never change or develop into something else or new? I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys can relate to this to some extent, and so did I. And these beautiful and masterfully written sequences are why I love this book. It truly feels like a philosophy book with 110 pages and very easy reading. And what makes this book so beautiful to me is that you can take these individual thoughts and observations, write them down, and just ponder about them even more. Think about them deeply, which is what I did. And that is exactly why this book still stayed with me, and I think will continue to do so for a long time. And do not worry if you are not a fan of philosophy or deeper thinking. Man, I sound so pretentious. Anyway, I think this book is truly for everyone, and with its short length, it is truly a nice and quick read. And if you are not a fan of reading for some inexplainable reason, there is an adaptation of this book coming in the form of a movie, which is starring Cillian Murphy, and I'm truly looking forward to it. Now, just to wrap up this video, I truly enjoyed this book, and I think so will you. For me, it's a strong 5 out of 5, and I will definitely be looking into what more Claire Keegan has to offer. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below, and if you read this book, please let me know in the comments what do you think about it. So, until the next time, as always, take care, people.